Man, that diffused light really makes it look like I've died and gone to heaven. Here we are in heaven, everyone. So I'm watching this video on YouTube called What Makes Ultimate Spider-Man So Great. It's a video about the comic book series Ultimate Spider-Man and sort of analyzing it and what makes it so great. It's a good video, I dig it, but I left a comment on it saying that really I feel like the video should have been called What Makes Brian Michael Bendis So Great. Brian Michael Bendis was the guy who wrote it, and as this person is breaking down all the character and the story beats and talking about Spider-Man and how much Spider-Man impacted him and what he loves about these stories, it's like, this was all written by somebody. Like, when somebody's analyzing a Stephen King novel, I find they talk about Stephen King a lot. They'll bring up the characters in the book, but the characters are always characters. Whereas when people are talking about comic books, a lot of YouTubers are talking about comic books, even when a lot of normal people are talking about comic books, they talk about comic book characters like they are the thing that exists and should be talked about, not the creators, not the writers. It's a really weird aspect of the comic book culture, but it kind of makes sense when you look at how the comic books are marketed, how they're advertised, and how they're publicized. Marvel and DC specifically prefer to publicize characters over creators because they own characters. You don't want to publicize some creator just to have them leave your company and go do their next big work for some other company. Like, what's the fucking point? You poured all that money and publicity into them for nothing. They want to publicize the things they own. So even when there are good people working at the companies, like, you know, editors and shit like that, people who really want to publicize these good artists and writers, they tend to take a back seat to the characters, which I think is one of the reasons why comic books are such a second-hand medium or a second-tier medium. Like, they shouldn't be. Comic books are a fucking art form just like movies or music or sculpture or anything else. But we never seem to get that kind of dignity across the broad scope of the medium. And I think it has something to do with the corporate stranglehold on the media that those two companies, Marvel and DC, now fucking Disney and AOL Time Warner, don't ever fucking talk to me about Marvel. Big time, man. Don't ever talk to me about fucking Marvel. Marvel got bought out. Marvel doesn't exist. Disney is a fucking company. You can't replace all the fucking employees of a business and say, hey, we're still the same business. Fuck you. Anyways, that's a different conversation for a different time. I think it's detrimental to comic books as a medium that creations get more credit and more acclaim than creators. I think it's something that is really hindering the whole art form, the whole medium. And we're going to have to try to fix that as we move forward if we want this medium to live up to its fucking potential.